Welcome to Xiao Voice. Continuing from the previous episode 241. Due to him being afraid that the mysterious water tiger snake would give chase, Xiao had rushed away wildly after having hid his aura. Only then did he gradually slow down. He looked all around him. Currently, he was near the middle of the mountain. The area higher above was covered in a dense fog of energy. Moreover, Xiao was also able to sense some extremely powerful auras within these dense fog. It would be extremely troublesome if these auras were to pester him. Now, all I can do is quietly climb to the top of the mountain and try to see if I am able to steal the task items that I need. With my strength alone, it might be a little difficult to forcefully snatch them. Xiao stood on a giant tree. He overlooked a partially visible mountain top as he mused to himself. Xiao ceased hesitating after having made up his mind. He was just about to move when a thought suddenly passed through his mind. His eyes suddenly slid to the bottom of the mountain. An extremely intense energy ripple suddenly erupted from that spot. This kind of ripple was not that of an ordinary energy fluctuation. Instead, it was a ripple that was sparked by a Do-Chi battle. Xiao involuntarily knit his eyebrows when he sensed this kind of fluctuation. If he could sense it, the fierce beasts would definitely be able to sense it. Thus, it would certainly end up attracting some of their attention. Xiao attentively listened for a moment and was vaguely able to hear some slight human noise. He was immediately startled. Could it be Cao Ying's group? Xiao knit his brows as he mused for a moment. He suddenly turned his body around and quietly rushed to the source of the energy ripple. It was not that he wished to rescue Cao Ying's group. Instead, it was because the activity their group had created would definitely attract the attention of some high-rank magical beast. He could perhaps be able to hide by their side. Once he discovered signs of those fierce beasts revealing themselves, he would be able to slip away, taking the opportunity to steal the medicinal ingredients within the cave at the top of the mountain. Xiao body flashed across the forest like a gust of wind while this thought flashed across his heart. Around a couple of minutes later, his body suddenly leapt forward, and he entered the top of a tree that was covered with lush, green leaves. His eyes looked through the gap between the leaves. A concave basin appeared where his sight could reach. At this moment, there were nearly 100 people clustered within this basin. His gaze swept over them, and he did indeed see a couple of familiar figures. They were clearly Cao Ying's group. The space here. Xiao eyes swept over it before suddenly focusing on the space around it. His eyes picked up on a distortion around them. Spiritual barrier. Xiao heart suddenly turned cold upon seeing this. He had seen this thing before. That so-called old Mu Yu had used this thing that night, causing the little fairy doctor and the rest to be unable to discover his invasion. It seems that something is wrong. Xiao heart had sunk upon seeing this spiritual barrier. From the looks of it, it seemed someone was preparing to attack Cao Ying's group. Moreover, the person who was attacking them possessed an extremely terrifying strength. This spiritual barrier was not something an ordinary expert would be able to construct. Is it that black-clothed man? Xiao heart suddenly moved while he was deep in thought. His gaze turned to that concave basin with the speed of lightning. He did indeed see a black-colored figure among the group. This fellow is really ruthless. He is thinking of finishing off all these people. Songqing and Cao Ying are people with the potential to fight for the champion spot in this gathering. If these two people are killed. This thought flew within Xiao heart as shock involuntarily surfaced within his eyes. This black-clothed man was really vicious. Mister, what do you mean by this? Are you planning on attacking all of us here? Nearly 100 figures were surrounding the black figure within this basin. Songqing was currently staring at the black-clothed man with a furious expression as he asked in a deep voice. This person had suddenly launched an attack when they headed over to this place earlier. Within a blink of an eye, over a dozen alchemists had perished to his hands. If not for Songqing's quick reaction, it was likely that he would have also died to the hands of this person after being caught off guard. Cao Ying, with her enchanting figure, was beside Songqing. However, the current her was staring at the black-clothed man with a somewhat grave expression in her pretty eyes. With her powerful spiritual perception that far exceeded that of others, she was able to sense that the black-clothed man in front of them possessed an extremely terrifying strength. Two young geniuses of the Pill Tower. Ha, this reputation is indeed wonderful. However, I can only use such tactics for the champion spot. A trace of a strange smile continued to hang on the black-clothed man's face as he spoke despite having been surrounded by so many people. May I know who this senior is? Aren't you afraid that the Pill Tower will pursue this matter if you kill us here? Xiao Ying's pretty eyes stared at the black-clothed man before she suddenly asked. KK. Everyone here will die. Therefore, the Pill Tower will not be aware of it. The black-clothed man laughed as he looked at Xiao Ying. He appeared just like a cat playing with a mouse. The numerous alchemists around suddenly became furious upon hearing his words. All of them unceremoniously drew their weapons. Their eyes revealed a fierce glint as they stared at the black-clothed man. Aren't you a little too arrogant? There are so many of us here. Do you think that we are afraid of you? Song Qing furiously cried out. The strange smile on the black-clothed man's face suddenly spread upon hearing this. Be careful. Someone has laid an ambush. Before the strange smile on the black-clothed man's face had completely spread, the many alchemists who had surrounded him suddenly emitted miserable screeches. Over a dozen drops of blood-dripping human heads soared into the sky with bright red pillars of blood. This sudden, unexpected change had caused Song Qing and the hidden Xiao Yan to be shocked. Their gazes hurriedly looked over, only to see over a dozen figures with sharp killing intent. That unusually powerful aura caused the expressions of everyone to change. Within less than a minute, fresh blood had dyed this lush, green ground into a blood-red color. The many alchemists who had been alive earlier were now dead ghosts. Their eyes were all wide open. They were all filled with shock and resignation. Even in death, they were unable to clearly see just who had attacked them. Bang! Bang! Xiao Ying's and Song Qing's group was greatly shocked by this unexpected change. Immediately, Do Qi hurriedly surged out of their bodies and blocked those sharp figures that had come charging at them. These fellows were hiding in the crowd. Xiao Yan looked at the massacre that had suddenly occurred from within the forest. His expression slightly changed. He had been unable to discover these hidden fellows from the beginning. Moreover, from the looks of it, it seemed that they were actually of the same gang as that black-clothed man. Just who are these people? They really dare to attack people from the Pill Tower. There were finally some people in the basin who were unable to endure any longer in the face of this sudden killing of the dozen-plus wolf and tiger-like figures. They hurriedly took their spatial rocks out of their storage ring and quickly shattered them. Space became distorted, and they were about to flee. I have said, no one here can leave. That black-clothed man, who had not attacked, smiled when he saw them try to escape. He gently waved his sleeves and an invisible spatial ripple spread out. After which, it solidified the people who were about to flee from the Pill Realm. Next, he clenched his hand and the surrounding space was suddenly suppressed. He forcefully pinched those alchemists into clusters of blurry blood and flesh. Distorting space. This fellow is indeed an elite Do Zun. Xiao Yan's eyes shrank when he saw this black-clothed man intervening. The alchemists in the battleground, who had lost their final tactic, began to retaliate with all their might. However, the strength of the dozen-plus black-colored figures far surpassed them. Other than a couple of people who could struggle against them, most of the remaining people suffered a miserable death. The massacre continued for around 10 minutes or so. Less than 10 of the 100 alchemists remained. Song Qing, Xiao Ying, and the 2 elders of the profound Zan sect carrying Chen Xian were among them. A useless struggle. The strength of those who remained were at the Do Zong class. Hence, the dozen-plus black figures had difficulty eating at them when they clustered together. All the black figures could do was surround them. However, from the looks of it, breaking through the defenses of Xiao Ying's group was merely a matter of time. Song Qing's expression was ugly as he looked at the surrounding black-robed people with an extremely dense killing aura. His face was volatile. He could sense a deathly aura from the bodies of these people. Does Senior intend to kill all of us? Xiao Ying, who usually wore an enchanting smile on her face, currently had a green expression. She had been special since she was young. There had been a countless number of guards around her. She had hardly seen such a bloody battlefield. KK, I am quite interested in your soul. If you are allowed to grow, it is likely that you will really be able to become the next giant head of the Pill Tower. Unfortunately, the black-clothed man laughed as he stared at Xiao Ying. He licked his lips as though he was looking at his prey. Xiao Ying's face was ice-cold. She was aware that this person was determined to eliminate them. However, even though the other party was strong, it was likely impossible for them to kill her in this place without paying some price. She definitely possessed some trump cards in order to become the person the pill tower thought most highly of. The black-clothed man ignored Xiao Ying's expression. His gaze glanced at the couple of people still resisting. After which, he slowly took a step forward. Just when he had taken a third step, his body suddenly trembled. His cold eyes shot to the large tree where Xiao Yan was hidden. Xiao Yan quietly cried out, "This is bad," within his heart when the black-clothed man paused his footsteps. This person's spiritual perception was too strong. "Come out!" Before Xiao Yan could withdraw after quietly crying out in his heart, a terrifying suction force surged out. The surrounding large trees shattered into dust in the next instant. Xiao Yan's figure was pulled forward by over a dozen meters. Only then did he forcefully stabilize his body. However, the current him had already landed in the interior of the spatial barrier.